down in the chat, or not the chat, but in the
Oh.
bottom. So, you know, we're all trying to figure out like, okay,
what
what's
the
gonna
heck
be-
is this?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like,
what is that? That's a crazy design.
Yeah, so I think this is an OLED display. At least I thought from what I was
The
looking
middle
at.
there.
Yeah, so you can see like it's got the, you know, some different buttons
okay.
there. It's kind of different.
Mm-hmm.
So Life of Bliss, I was chatting with him today, and he said he's got one of these in for review, and he said it actually works, which is very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is the first step. What is it? Best Joy? Best
Hey,
Joy remote.
Yeah, Best Joy is kind of a...
So it says macro,
name.
right? So it says macro, and
Yep, right
macro
here.
is typically, you know, you can program, I guess, like kind of like keystrokes or button presses, right?
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Could you? So okay, on Denon and Marantz, if you want to change the tone control, you have to hit like, Option, and then you got to go to tone, and then you go to bass up, you know, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to get out of the menu, right?
Yeah.
All right,
but
you guys.
on the, can this access, I guess, like the web app or like the IP interface where it can just directly adjust something, kind of like, because I know they have apps that you can download that can control Denon and Marantz. They're unofficial, but they can control all of the settings, right? It just made me think, you know, I've always wanted a tilt control, basically, which means like you can turn the bass up and it'll turn the treble down, right? So adjust the balance between them. And so that's kind of simple, like bass +1, treble -1, bass +2, treble -2, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if you could program something like that, like a macro.
I don't know about that. I mean, I know with the Harmony Elite, you definitely can't do something like that.
Too advanced.
Yeah, it's really the macros are for things like, okay, when I push this button, it's going to turn on my projector, set it to HDMI 1. It's going to turn on my AVR, set it to Blu-ray or 4K or PS5 or whatever, those types of things. And it can set it to like, I think it'll let you set it to like, say, Oro 3D if that's your preference or whatever. So there's definitely some flexibility on that. You can, you know, I've got mine set to do all that stuff. And then after like 15 seconds, it turns off my lights, you know? So
would you guys use a remote that had a knob? I like knobs.
Volume knob.
Like a volume knob
just
on
like
the remote.
where you,
That's
if you set it to a certain position, that's always going to be a certain volume, right?
I don't
Like,
know about
that's
this
so handy,
brand
right?
though.
That's
Look, we got Best Joy bubble machine for kids, Best Joy giant bubble, Best Joy universal remote.
Interesting.
And then we got Foot Joy over here for golf
Joy.
golf shoes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's hope their remote's better than the bubble maker.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, the good news is Kyle said that it does
works.
work. And I didn't have that same experience with the Sofa Baton X1. That was just super glitchy and
that one. I hated that one.
Yeah, I did not get a good impression of that. And regardless of whether they got the firmware updated and fixed the bugs, I don't know. It kind of, I get a sour taste in my mouth when the company sends you something and it's got tons of issues. I mean, it's one thing to have a glitch here or something there, but to me, that
you wouldn't want to like check this out and make sure it all works before you send it to somebody who you know.
I mean, especially when you can't even pair it with the hub. You're like, what the heck, man? That should be an easy thing. You know, I mean, I'm not asking it to do something complex here. We just want to connect it to your own hub. And if it's not going to do that without some finagling, then it's probably not ready for market. So
did you review that one?
I did.
You did?
Yeah. Yep. That was another one of those on my channel that's like, it is what it, I'm sitting there in the middle of it. I'm like, I was wanting to walk them through like a step-by-step tutorial. Here's how you set it up. And I get to the point and I'm like, okay, I guess we're not going to be connecting to the hub.
I didn't even decide to make the video. I was just like, this thing does not work. And they're like, oh, you know, when can we expect a video? I'm like, never until you can get it to work. And then that was it.
Doing okay. Like I said, I had some issues originally and it was doing okay for me working once you get it programmed. But then I'm like, oh, let me just wipe it clean, you know, start over and then let's film it. Let's document it. And it was like, I'm like halfway through filming it. And I'm just thinking, I just want to get this review done because this thing is really starting to bug me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so hopefully, I mean, I'm grateful to see that there are at least other companies out there going, okay, hey, we're going to give it a shot.
There's a void. There's a void in the space, right?
Somebody's got to step up. So I'm curious to get the YIO Remote 2. They're supposed to be launching that sometime in the summer of this year. And so hopefully I'll get one of those in for review and we'll check it out and see. I think it's got the most promising, but it is probably a little bit more expensive than that. I think it's probably around the $300 range, maybe even $400. So definitely getting kind of on up there. But it's not as expensive as like Control 4 and Crestron and Savant.
Or the Savant,
yeah, and you can program it on your own. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. So I'm hoping it's going to be a solid remote. But maybe this one will be a great, option for people that are looking to replace their Harmony or maybe get a remote for the first time.
Yeah, Michael says here, I purchased a URC MRX 990, URF 260 from an integrator, and they said I would have access to the software, but I'm on my own. Decided to return it. What choices do we have for remotes? Not a whole lot.
That's the thing. There's not a whole lot. I too, Michael, I had a friend of mine that gave me the software for the URC, and I was able to program it. It's almost like building a small website. You literally create the buttons, and each button you tell it, okay, where do you want it to go? Okay, I want it to go to this new page. And on this new page, I'm going to have these buttons. But you got to manually program every stinking command versus with a Harmony, at least you could say, okay, I've got this remote and it already knows I got a power, I've got an OK, I've got an HDMI, I've got this, and it drops those codes in there for you. So that was the kind of the frustrating thing for me. And it was kind of the user interface of that is very, very clunky. So, and that may have been a really old software because that was probably, goodness, that was before I got my Harmony Elite. So that would have been 6-7 years ago. So hopefully they've changed it and updated it since then. But yeah, so a lot of those, we just don't have the option to set those up and configure them for ourselves. Are you, Joe, Aaron, are y'all using any kind of universal remote?
Nope.
So you just got a dirty remote.
I use my phone.
Do you really?
Just use the remote that comes with a Denon, and also just volume control on the NVIDIA Shield. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't do too much with it.